Welcome back. One of my subscribers, Peter Sunday, also known as OnlyMe99 on chess.com, has sent me the links to a few of his games. And in the past, I've always learned something from some of his games, and I'm pretty sure that it's been instructive to you, my viewers, as well. So I'm just going to go through these three games as quickly as I can. Just looking at the move numbers, the number of moves, it looks like two of them were fairly short and one was a little longer. And I think he's pretty proud of these and probably should be based on past experience of looking at his games. So let's take a look and see if one or more of us can't learn something. Okay, this is the first game that Peter has sent me. It is a blitz game, FYI, and the opponent playing with the black pieces opens with the Caro-Kann, which I'm interested in, and I think Peter knows that, which is why he chooses at least one Caro-Kann game to send me every time. Peter plays knight to f3 here, which I've seen quite a bit as the player with the black pieces. Here, I think I have most often seen the opponent take or get this knight out to c3. I think I've also seen d3 here with an eye to bring the knight out this way. But Peter played knight to c3 here, and I think in this position, I most often either take this pawn or bring the bishop out to g4. I'm going to look at the lines to see. None of those were really great except taking the pawn. It said that it listed that as one of the top moves for just a moment. Okay, I've been playing this wrong. It says knight to f6 is actually black's best move in this position. All right then. Well, I just learned something. Okay, but yeah, I think in this situation, I've taken this pawn, and I think a few times I've actually pushed. How bad would it have been if the opponent had pushed that? You just come in here, right? Okay. Well, I've definitely not been doing great with that. But anyway, that's not what the opponent did. The opponent took the pawn, which I said I'm pretty sure I've done in this situation, and you expect them to take back with the knight, which Peter did. And here I think I have brought this bishop out to either f5 or g4, one of those two squares. Probably g4 is what I've done, and I think that, again, is not one of the top moves according to Stockfish. Stockfish says to knight to f6 or knight to d7 are the two best moves in this position. But Stockfish isn't learning the Caro-Kann opening. I'm learning the Caro-Kann defense, and I'm pretty sure that one of the points here is to get that light-squared bishop out before we play e6. But anyway, let's turn off the lines. The opponent played what I'm pretty sure I've played in that exact position before, and Peter played bishop to c4. Now here I know, without looking at the engine, that I have to play e6 here. It should be automatic because, as I just said earlier when talking about getting this light squared bishop out, that's one thing about the Caro-Kann defense is you get the light squared bishop out first and then play e6, as opposed to the French defense where you play e6 and that bishop gets trapped down there. But in this case, not only would I have been about to play e6 because I just got out my light squared bishop, but I would have definitely been compelled to play e6 here because of where Peter has put his bishop. He's put his bishop pointed at f7, and he's got a knight that can get there very quickly, not caring about this queen, because that's going to be checkmate in just a second. But the opponent here did not play e6, so this must have been as far as they ever got in learning the Caro-Kann, and they played h6 here. h6 is a move in the Caro-Kann, but it's after white has played h3, and then you bring this bishop back this way. And then white plays g4 sometimes, so you bring the bishop back this way. And then they play h4, threatening to trap your bishop. Then you move your h-pawn to give your bishop a place to hide behind it. They definitely shouldn't have played h6 here. And because they failed to play e6, they're in deep trouble, allowing Peter to play this. Now, what this does is, as I said, it threatens mate there on f7, but it's also threatening this bishop. So I think, as the player with the black pieces here, I would have been tempted to bring this bishop back. But that's actually not that good. In the heat of the moment, especially in a blitz game, you can't see the clocks here, but both players still have 3 minutes left in a 3-minute blitz game. That means they're probably playing 3+2, and they're playing so quickly that the increment is keeping them at 3 minutes, which is a mistake in my opinion, especially when the opponent has mounted an attack like this. You can take a moment to think, if I pull this bishop back to stop the mate threat, white will be able to take my bishop, and I'll have to take back with that f-pawn, which will expose me to this queen to h5 check that way. Or play e6 now because we failed to play it earlier. And if you click on the lines, e6 is definitely the best move here, but you're not in a good position playing with the black pieces because you failed to play e6 earlier. Peter's opponent saw this because the knight just got out of the way there and didn't take any time at all, just a couple of seconds, and took that queen. So Peter immediately in 1 second or less, checkmated on move 7. Yeah, Peter had more than 3 seconds left at this point, and the opponent was just under. Peter had more than 3 minutes left, and the opponent was just under 3 minutes. And one thing you can learn from this is to take a little bit more time, especially if your opponent is coming for you like that. So let's take a look at the next game. Okay, this is the second game that Peter sent me. This time he's playing with the black pieces, and this time that he is facing a d4 opening from his opponent. Once again, playing 3+2 blitz. Peter responds with d5. That looks fairly normal. It's a queen's gambit accepted, which when he takes that pawn. But this, I don't think I played it from white's perspective, but here I don't play that. Sorry, let me back up. This is distracting because here I've been taught to play this, knight to c3. And I don't know if that's best. The problem is if you play this pawn thinking you'll pick that up, then black will just play b5. But let's see what the lines say. Stockfish. Whoops, what happened? Why does it do that? Because I'm looking at this from black's perspective. What says knight to f3 is white's best move? Interesting. Or e3, or knight to c3. I would not have played knight to f3 here. I've been playing knight to c3 in this situation the whole time, trying to prevent b5. Let's turn off the lines. Again, why did it flip it? Stop doing that. Okay, that's irritating. Okay, well, they did play that, and Peter played e5, which apparently wasn't bad. We did the eval bar didn't jump over there at the left, but I don't know if that's what I would have done. I think I would have been tempted to play b5 here to protect my c pawn, but the opponent didn't take that back for some reason. I already don't understand this opening. Let's see what happens. Okay, Peter took that pawn, and they took back. Okay, this doesn't seem too dangerous here, but white definitely has a very slight advantage, which is normal. Okay, and then white took that pawn. Okay, that seems like a normal move to me. So does that. Okay, he took back with the knight to avoid damaging the pawn structure. Makes sense. Waiting for the big payoff here. Okay, white castles. For some reason, the eval bar moved then and gave black a slight advantage. But to me, it looks like the players are kind of equal. I mean, 0.4 is kind of equal. But white is ahead in castling. But both players still have 2 minor pieces and a rook unmoved. And both players have 1 knight out. But that's why I would think white may have a slight advantage here if it were me evaluating without Stockfish, because white has 1 pawn in the center of the board and is castled. Those are 2 things that put it ahead of black, but for some reason black has a very slight advantage here. That move looks like it just runs into the pawn, but I don't know. I'm no expert. Oh, well, see that this opponent played probably exactly what I would have played. And it looks like they're both rated very close to what I'm rated in blitz. Makes sense that I would have played that. Okay, what did Peter do? Moved the knight there. That gave the advantage back to white. So he must have had another move in mind, according to Stockfish. We're still very close to even. The bishop out to there. I don't know if that would have been my move at the time, because the knight's not being pinned to anything. All you're threatening here is to separate the pawns. Okay, but now Peter is ready to castle either direction. I suspect that earlier, instead of putting the knight out there where the pawn could have run into it, I suspect maybe he should have castled there. But I don't know, because I didn't look at the lines. Just kind of talking out loud as my brain rolls through these ideas. Okay, pawn threatening the bishop. Did he take? He did. That separates the pawns. I would think that would help a little bit from the black perspective. And again, Peter is ready to castle. Does he castle now? He does. He castles to the queen side, which I think I would have been tempted to do as well, since that would place this rook on the only completely open file on the board. Very good. Okay, developing the bishop. The eval bar moved on that too, but that seems like a very sensible move given the situation. It connects the rooks, protects both of those pawns. The only problem with it is that the bishop now is, where's it going? I guess that's one problem with it, is it makes this bishop useless. But where else was he going to put it? Peter puts the knight into f4. I guess it seems like an okay move. Maybe threatening to come in to d3, possibly, or threatening the check. Maybe that's what he was thinking. Okay, how does white respond? White, oh, well, the eval bar just fell off the top of the board. Did you see that? Because we were just about even here. Minus 0 point something, 0.6, 0.7, as Stockfish makes up its mind. And the eval bar just jumped off. Okay, so it's over now, according to Stockfish. Does Peter know it's over? I'm going to turn on the lines and see if Peter plays what Stockfish says he should have played. But again, it flipped the board on me. Very irritating. Chess.com, if you know anybody that works at chess.com, tell them to fix that. That's ridiculous. I just clicked the lines on to see what he should have played here, and it flips. And I'm not looking at the other side of the board. I'm looking at this side. I know, probably none of you know anybody that works at chess.com, but just in case, it's very irritating. It says knight to e2 is the best move. Okay, well, we suspected that might have been why he put the knight on f5 to begin with, on f4 to begin with, was for this check. Okay, and that's what Stockfish says was best. And it says he has a forced mate. Here, the king only has one legal move. Oh, wow. He did not play the best move here. Stockfish says play there. Knight captures f2 check is a forced mate in 4. And what Peter played was here, which is a forced mate in 11. So either way, forced mating sequence. And now what black has to play to delay this as long as possible is g3. But that's not what black played. I mean, what white played. Peter's opponent took the rook, which of course leads to a mate in 1 that Peter found. Once again, good job, Peter. Checkmate on move 17. I wasn't following the entirety of the first part of that game, but the second part looked pretty awesome. Let's see if it's going to flip sides when I click the lines. Yes. Very irritating. Chess.com. Not sponsored. Okay. Sorry, that was a joke. All right, this is the third game Peter Sunday has sent me. Also a 3.2 Blitz game. FYI, I know I've cropped it so that the clocks aren't on the screen, but that's because there's no reason to say who the opponents were, especially on these 7-move checkmates. I'm not here to embarrass anyone, right? I am here to praise my subscriber, Peter, for doing a good job, assuming he won this one. He probably didn't send me one in which he lost in an embarrassing way. Hopefully. All right, we have is this going to be an Italian or a Ruy Lopez? I think this is the Italian game. I don't play e4, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the Italian game. The opponent, that looks like a mistake. Oh, and the eval bar just jumped as I was saying that. Okay, at least in inaccuracy. If you are a beginner and you're trying to get better, you have to be conscious of the f7 and the f2 squares. These are very important squares in the first several moves of the game, because there's nothing else protecting them except the kings. And they're keeping enemy pieces from pointing at your king. Moving these in almost all, not all, I think there are a couple of exceptions that someone higher rated than me could probably explain to you. But in almost all cases, don't do that. Moving the F pawn this early by either player is almost always a mistake. Oh, I can think of one exception. That's if you're playing white and you're playing the Vienna Gambit. Is it the Vienna Gambit or the King's Gambit? I think it's okay to play that, but that's not the case here. This isn't either of those openings. This is the Italian game. Pretty sure that's at least inaccurate, if not an outright mistake. But I don't know what the best response to it is here. Oh, Peter should have just castled, according to the lines. Okay, he played d4. That was the second best move by Stockfish, so not too bad. This is a huge weakening of the king side for black, and hopefully Peter will be able to take advantage of that. That's not good. Did the eval bar move? Okay, it did. Peter's opponent here is playing very quickly, still has more than 3 minutes left in a 3-minute game. It blocks in this pawn, which blocks in that bishop, which blocks in the queen, which keeps this rook from moving. You almost never want to block in your own pawn. And also to defend that, why did you? That's the only possible reason you would have moved a bishop there playing with the black pieces is you were thinking you needed to defend this pawn. If that pawn was so important to you, maybe just take and at least get something out of it. But yeah, that can't be that good. Okay, Peter took, okay. I assume that was among his best moves because the bar didn't jump too much, still at +2. Might as well take that back with the knight and trade off the knights, right? Okay. Now, castle. Oh, no, he took the knight. I don't know that I would have done that then. I don't know. I'm going to look at the lines. Just out of curiosity. Might as well learn something, right? Oh, it says f4. See all that stuff I said about not moving that pawn? There are exceptions. Stockfish says right now is one of those exceptions because your bishop's guarding that square and you kick that bishop back and it doesn't have very many places to go, no safe places to go. So if you played f4 right now, it would have to go back where it just was, which blocks in that pawn again. Stockfish is so sneaky, but that's the second best move, what Peter played. But what would have happened if he had played f4? I'm very surprised that Stockfish says that d5 is black's best move here. But the second best move is probably what most people would have played, which is that bishop to d6. And then Peter would have had full and complete control over the center squares and could have just gone about his way developing. Interesting. Okay, well, that's not what happened. Let's go back here. Peter took that knight, which again was the second best move, because it now breaks that side. Now the opponent can't castle. I see why that's a good move in that position. I don't think I would have played that, but good job, Peter, for finding that. Keeps them from castling. What do you do now? You castle, right? No, we checked. Okay. Oh, that took him back down to equality. I'm going to go see if I was right, because I don't want to be giving you guys bad advice. Oh no, castling was wrong again. Oh, castling was the second best move. Okay, so I'm not too far off, but f4 again. On to f4 to stick that bishop back there. Stockfish is sneaky. I like it. Okay, but this was not among the best moves. I think because it can be so easily blocked, but no, it's because the king can just move out of the way. But what about this pawn? Maybe that's what he was going for when he checked there. But the king went forward, which I don't think was great. And Peter did take the pawn, which was not awesome, but it wasn't horrible either. The eval bar saying they're still pretty close to even. And Stockfish wants black to play here. Okay, but that's not what he did, I'm sure. No, okay, d5, not great. Peter castles now, still within +1, -1, which anywhere in that range, I don't count things as mistakes or blunders, because anywhere between those two, it's always able to turn around quickly, especially at our ratings and lower. That jumped. That was a blunder. Really? What did it allow? That allowed something huge. I left the lines on, didn't I? I can see them out of my peripheral vision, but I'm not looking at them. Trying to figure out, what does that allow? I don't know. Oh, f4 again. But that's only a blunder if Peter finds f4. Okay, I'm going to turn off the lines. Peter did not play f4. Okay, so yeah, that advantage, most of it disappears. Bishop develops. That gives it. Oh wait, is it f4 again? I'm not going to look, but it probably was. Yeah, Peter kept not finding f4 here, but I don't think I would have found it either. Most of those times, I think I would have been more tempted to try to get this bishop out someplace than to play f4 here. Oh, but he was chasing the bishop anyway, and the opponent wanted to keep their bishop. So now that was a blunder, though, for some reason. Oh, because it gives up that pawn? No, it wasn't because of that. What should Peter have done here? I'm curious. Let's click the lines. e5. Really? I'm trying to figure out why e5 would have been so good. Because if he took with the pawn, then this bishop comes out and wins the queen. Okay, so they would take with the bishop. Then you would take that bishop with your knight. And if he took with the pawn, you could put your bishop out here and win the queen. Nice. Stockfish being very sneaky again. Okay, well, neither me nor Peter saw that. Peter took the free pawn. Bishop went after the rook, which is a very obvious one-move threat. And Peter ignored it for a second and checked. And the king moves. Peter moves the rook out of danger. Oh, but that was a blunder. What? No, that's what I would have done, right? Wait, should he have checked again? It's +4. He should have done something besides moving the rook out of danger. I'm going to guess it was check again. Wait, bishop to h6? That's h6, right? That's what Stockfish says. It looks like it would have just lost a bishop. And it says the opponent's best move after that would be to take the rook. Okay, well, I'm not following that. But the second best move is the one that I said. Okay, I'm not going to waste all the time following out that other line that Peter didn't find, because the game's over, and also I don't understand enough about this sort of thing yet either. But the move that I suggested here was the second best move. So not bad, but he got the rook out of danger. I don't think that's horrible. Stockfish says, oh, big blunder, you're back to equality now. But this does a couple of things. It gets the rook out of danger. It lines up the rook with the king, so if anything ever happens to this pawn, there's that. The knight is protected by the pawn and by the queen. This pawn is dead anytime that rook moves, which means that the opponent's rook is tied to the defense of that pawn. I mean, it looks like Peter's in a pretty good situation here. The opponent plays king to e5, which seems horrible. Like, just not even looking at the position or even understanding what's going on. If you don't have to move your king closer to the center In the middle game, don't do it. In the end game, yes. Or if you see we're about to transition into the end game, it's often the best thing to move your king toward the center because it becomes more powerful as the bigger, heavier pieces get chopped off. But when the bigger, heavier pieces are still there, don't put your king in the center if you can help it. But that's what the opponent did, and it says forced mate in 11. I'm curious as to what... Wait, does he find f4 now? What does the line say? Oh, the lines don't say f4. No. It's what I said last time. Knight captures g7, which isn't even check anymore, but that's the best move. I wouldn't have found that. Next best move is knight to d4. Well, I wouldn't have found that either. I would have played f4 here, I think. Let's see what Peter did. Peter played f4. Okay. There you go. But it says that loses most of his advantage because you're not in a forced mating sequence anymore. But even if I had missed f4 all those other times, I think I would have found it here because this pawn's protected by the rook and that pawn's protecting the knight. This pawn's protected by the bishop. The queen's right here. Now the king can't go this way or this way because of the pawn and the knight respectively. Has to go back to where it was. And then you can keep marching forward, maybe. Okay. Well, there's only one legal move here, so that's what the king did. Peter then checks here, which was not among his best moves, apparently. It takes it down to +5. Okay, I still might have done this. I don't know. But that's not bad. It's a safe check. King can't come to any of these squares, right? Because of the pawns. So it has to go back someplace. Driving the king back. Maybe that's why that wasn't so good. It's because the king has this escape route and can hide itself over here. Now that does trap the rook, but still much safer than it was out here. You're kind of doing the opponent's job for them. They're supposed to be hiding their king, and now you kind of forced them to. Whereas the check back here, I don't think would have done quite that same thing, right? But anyway, just something to think about. Also keeping in mind, I'm not an expert. Not at all. Okay, keep driving forward. That's kind of what I assumed the plan was there. And the opponent, okay, I mean, I don't know why they didn't take this now. Because earlier you didn't want to take it, because earlier that would have lined up your king and queen, as we talked about when the king was here. But now, why wouldn't you have just taken this? I don't know. He just moved his bishop over. Peter drove forward, check again. Okay, nice. Wait, that wasn't his best move? It wasn't even close. What? That's what I would have done. That's clearly what the idea was here, was to clear out the pieces in front of this pawn and just start going with it. What did Stockfish want? Stockfish wanted check here to keep him from hiding in the corner. I get that. We just talked about this king is probably going to be able to get back there now. That's why Stockfish wants him to check on f5, because it would block off all of these squares and force the king someplace. But this allows the king to go back in the corner. Is that where it went? And that is where it went, and that was Black's best move at that position. Okay. I think I would drive that pawn forward one more time if I were Peter. Is that what he did? He did. Okay. Stockfish wasn't a big fan of that, but says it wasn't horrible. But again, it's nearly unstoppable. Now, the opponent I forgot about this bishop. They're just going to take that, right? Oh, they didn't. Wait, what? Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, this knight's unprotected. And what? But I think if I was Black, I would have put my queen in front of that pawn. Is that what they should have done? No, it says they should have taken here with check. Bishop captures d4 check. Block with this bishop, which allows the queen to take this pawn. Oh, wow. And the second best move is to take here. Okay, the opponent played their third best move, but it was counted as a mistake. I'm learning. And I hope that you are too. Okay, what did Peter play here? Bishop to... Okay. Makes sense. Challenge the queen, and if the queen moves, you can take the bishop, except the opponent is up 1 point of material right now. But it depends on where the queen goes. I think I see something coming, because you could take the bishop once the queen gets out of the way. But the queen should get out of the way someplace that protects this rook, because it's under attack and it's not protected, and that's a check. Okay? I'm just seeing that. I'm wondering if that's going to figure into this somehow. We couldn't do it on the last turn because Peter had to block this check, or get out of check. I guess he could have just moved his king, but he blocked with the bishop, which seems good. Drives the queen away, gains the initiative. But if the queen doesn't move somewhere where it's going to protect this rook, queen's going to get it. Let's see. Queen, okay, the queen did not protect the rook, so the rook's up for grabs. Peter found it. Good job. Okay, and good job me for kind of seeing that that might have been around the corner. A little foreshadowing there. And now this pawn is 1 square from a protected promotion. King has to come forward to d7, I think. Well, I mean, you could block with your queen, but then you're going to, right? If you blocked with the queen, that's checkmate. Okay, so I think the king has to come forward. King comes forward now. Do you win that rook or do you promote? No, you don't promote. You win the rook, right? Or take here first and then win the rook. No, let me think. Oh, your queen's in danger, so you got to do something. Oh, your queen's in danger 2 ways. Okay, now that the king's out of check, oh, you can take this bishop. Okay, that's probably what he should do. Is that what he did? Okay, that is what he did. What did Stockfish want? Okay, that's the best move. Got it. All right, good job, Peter. And let's see, how many seconds did he spend on that? Wait, 2 seconds. Okay, well, he saw that a lot faster than I would have. I think his blitz rating might actually be slightly higher than mine, but I don't remember what my blitz rating is. Okay, then you take that with your rook. Ooh, and now the rook is guarding the pawn again. Where does black play? Okay, block the pawn. That makes sense. Otherwise, oh, wait. That doesn't make sense. Stockfish says no. Blocking the pawn is bad. What should the opponent have done here? Because we're at plus 18. When they blocked that pawn from promoting, it jumped to mate in 4. Wow. Okay, I'm going to back up 1. Turn on the lines. A6. Stockfish says A6 holds off the checkmate a little longer. Or C5. C5 also somehow holds off checkmate a little longer. Very interesting. Rook to B8 even. I think I would have played the same thing that the opponent just played. To block the pawn. But wait, I guess the pawn wasn't going to promote anyway. Was it? Because 2 pieces were guarding that square. But now it can't promote. So you took away an option. But somehow that leads to a forced mate in 4. Did Peter find that? Okay, that's good. Pinning the queen to the king, but now we're down to plus 11. So no longer a forced mate. So that must not have been the best move. But it's a really good one, in my opinion. And well spotted in 1 or 2 seconds. To pin the queen to the king. Now the queen can't move. I think the queen just has to take the rook now. Did they? They did not. They took the pawn instead. Okay, so now you get the queen. Okay. I think Peter's got this game wrapped up no matter what Stockfish says, because now you're up a full queen. Let's see how he finishes this off. Okay. Now forced mate in 10. That's not a check. Curious about that move. Oh, we're aiming here. Okay, I got it. I got it. Both our pieces aiming at d6. Okay. King moves over. Wait, that didn't help though. You're still aiming at d6 and it's still going to be a check. Okay. And then block with the rook. Hey, I don't know what he did here because I haven't looked yet, but if it were me, I think I would have tried to simplify things by just taking the rook with my queen. Because then I have a whole rook left and they don't have any pieces. I would have, because Peter's up 11 points of material. If you make this trade, you lose 4 of those points, 9 for 5. That means you're still up 7 points of material. You're rook and 2 pawns. And you can win with that for sure. That's probably what I would have done. But that's not what he did. He found another way to check. And the king moved over. And now it's over. Okay, he wants to trade the rook for the rook. And that worked. And the opponent resigned. Okay. And the opponent had more than 2 minutes left. So again, another lesson. Take your time. Look around. I feel like I learned a couple of things in this game, but this one seemed more complex to me than those first 2. There were definitely places where I would have made the wrong move, and a couple of times Stockfish suggested moves that I would have to take much longer than I can put in one of these videos in order to figure out. But again, good job, Mr. Sunday. Thank you for sending me the games, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to make a video every time somebody sends me a game. I almost always look at them, see if I can get something out of them. This one, because I've had a pretty good history with Peter sending me decent games, I just went ahead and started making the video before I looked at them. Anybody can feel free to send me a link to one of their games. When I get time, I'll take a look. May or may not make it into a video because, as I've mentioned before, I have other things to do. I'm not just doing this all day. I do this whenever I get a chance. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.